In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how we can use Java to create a data controller. Now, data controller contains a collection of objects, and we use those quite often to store collections of items in our Android applications. It's very important later on when we start to pull data from different sources, and primarily it's used to populate list views, which we'll cover later on in the module. And what I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to use an array list to store a collection of strings. It's a very, very simple example. So the idea is, if we're going to have a collection of objects, we need to be able to add new objects, we need to be able to delete objects we don't want anymore, and the best way to do this is to use what's called an array list. And under the surface it's a linked list, but when we declare an array list, we have to declare the array list and specify what objects are going to get stored inside it. The funny angle brackets are called Java generics, and this is probably the first time we've come across them. But this will create an array list of strings. So once we've done that, once we've declared that, we need to initialize it. And to initialize it, we say names equals new array list string, and that's normally done in the constructor. And once we've done that, we can use the method add to add new items to our array list. So names.addMark will add my name to the array list. Now, the problem with collection classes and the problem with controllers is we need to only have a single instance of our object. Let's imagine if we had an array list of names in our special class with these names in, and every time we wanted to use it, we created a new object. We'd have lots and lots of we'd have lots and lots of objects which contain lists of items, but they'd all contain different items. So what we need to do, we need to have a special pattern which allows us to have one and only one instance of a collection class. And the way this works is we want to ask it for a collection class. If it hasn't created one, it needs to create one and return a pointer to it. If it has created one, it simply needs to return a pointer to the one it's already created. So we only ever have one of these in our program. This is called a singleton design pattern. And here's an example of how we can implement the singleton design pattern using Java. Now, as you can see, we have a class called names now, and this contains an array list which contains our list of names, but it also contains a static pointer to a names object. So this names class points to itself. Now the first thing we do is we prevent the constructor from working. So as you can see, I've created a protected names constructor which overrides the default constructor but sets it as protected, which means it can't be accessed from outside. So it means we can't accidentally create lots of examples of our names object. And we now have a special method, a static method called namesGetInstance. And what this does, it looks at the private static names object, and it says if it's null, assign it as a new names object and create a new array list. If it's not equal to null, it simply returns it. So if we complete the singleton one, we've now got a way of accessing a single instance of our names class, and obviously we can then add names to it and display names. So let's see how we use a singleton class. So as you can see, when we want to access it and get a pointer to our names list, we simply call the getInstance method. So we can say names equals names.getInstance. And what that does, it stores a pointer to our collection class in the names object. And if it hasn't already created one, it will create one for us.